I'm colorblind. And I can tell you what needs water. I can see what's got a pest issue.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. It takes time.
Let me ask you this question, because, we talk about how long does it take for you to become, a stellar plant parent? And I remember we had this conversation, and, like, I'm still a newbie, and I will let you guys know that. Like, I don't know it all. I always say that.
He's moderate to high level now.
Oh my gosh, very qualified.
Right here.
Okay,
How long does it take for you to kind of like, because I know your background, and the stuff that you know now is just like, it's beyond.
Yeah.
How long? What's that like? How long?
It didn't take me long. Now, we got to remember, I was already into plants. I've always been into plants. So it never was an issue for me other than learning not to overwater that, not to overwater this.
Right.
Once again, learning curve here is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Standard plant person, I say 3 years, is about the time that it takes for you to realize how the earth rotates, and that, once a year, the sun trajectory is going to change drastically. Water quality issues, what does that look like? What am I doing wrong? It takes years for you to be able, still to this day, people come in, been collecting for years, and have never seen a spider mite because they didn't have any plants that were spider mite prone. I've also got people that's all they've ever had. And this is pretty typical with Majesty palm, or as we call them in the industry, trash can palms.
How about English ivy?
You like those
if you want spider mites, you gonna get it. Any Algerian ivy, a lot of things with pink, a lot of things with variegation. But that's still plant to plant. Like, I've got a ficus ruby that we're looking at over there. I've never had spider mites on a ficus ruby. I've never had spider mites on ags. But if I walk around here and look at a Safritzi bamboo palm, I know one has spider mites. Or this time of year, we bring everything in. Normally, I grow my alocasias outside.
They do well there.
I've got a big monster over there. Well, we got to check her all the time. Same with bananas. There are just certain plants that are more likely to get these things. But we only know that because, once again, I've got a person that's been doing it his entire life. And then we have this high learning curve. And really, the number one people that teach me the most, and this is going to sound bizarre, is people that have never had plants. Because people with plants, especially if you've met me, we're following the track and we're saying, okay, I think I did this. And a lot of those conversations, I go, you're right.
Yeah, we're having those
Yes,
conversations.
exactly. Yeah. And so everybody here that we're with today is at that level of they know what they're doing wrong. How do you fix it?
Yeah.
How can I fix what I've done wrong now moving forward? And that could be moving your watering day 3 days. One of my jokes is, don't water on a day when it's 2 degrees too cold, 3 hours less sunlight. Is that a joke? No, and yes, it is. You can kill a marginata in no time that way. So, yeah, money tree.
I know.
Money tree. Everybody's killed a money tree. So there's just certain things, but man, those first-time plant owners will come up with stuff that I can't even remember how ridiculous it was because they have no jumping off point.
Yeah.
Or, one we get a lot here is like, which plant's going to clean the air the best?
All plants clean the air.
The plants, you need more plants
to clean.
But you need like
clean air. Snake plant.
Well, they always say snake plant is the one plant that cleans the most.
Comes
How many do you need?
How many snake
exactly.
plants?
That's it.
And so,
need a lot.
first timers, I've had somebody ask me how many times a day they water their
Oh
plant.
my goodness, a day?
A day. I've had
Today?
an engineer ask me what the algorithm of watering is.
Wait, what?
There's an algorithm?
Right, and that's
Are we
just-
doing AI stuff now
Well,
with plants?
it's unfortunately it's his career,
Algorithm?
Yeah.
so he's used to things working out. And I tell people all the time, I go, I can't teach you to listen with your heart. That's what I call
wow,
the green
that's a
thumb.
gear.
Is
Listen with your heart.
you can do really well, but I might not ever be able to teach you that next step, and that's okay. We got to remember that differing levels are all right. You don't have to be
As long as you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you want to keep the plant alive. You got to remember these are living things. And so that's the main thing that we stress to people here that they don't see.
I love plant keeping for that reason alone.
Yes, is that they are thinking of these as decorations, and
They're
there's-
not though. They can't say.
there's-
They can't tell you to not take them home.
I
They
mean,
don't have that
they
option.
can't
just in this view, there's two. That's a 50-year-old. That's a 50-year-old.
50-year-old plant.
Yeah. Those two ponytails back there. I think one's 37,
Yeah.
one's 42.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you've got stuff in here that
you won't sell.
right. It's not worth money,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons we don't actually have price tags here. Is
That was another question because I
Yeah.
remember featuring. They're like, "Well, there's no price tags." I'm like, "Well, you know, some of them may not be in that range that they're worth your money
right
Because
and
of time.
because of time."
sure, yeah, any number of things. And that's the other thing is like we don't have a low light section. And people are like, "Where's the low light section?" It's over there. And they're like, "Where?" And I'm like, "Over there."
The plants are,
Yeah.
that are underneath the ficus lyrata. For
And that's
instance.
just
There you go.
because you don't know enough. You go online real quick, you Google, low light plants. Toxicity, that's another one that we have to talk about a lot. And so when you're talking to people like that, you do have to remember that they don't know where you're coming from. So you've got to put this in a scope that they can understand. One of the reasons that we don't have price tags, I don't want money influencing your decision.
Oh yeah.
Because if it's the right decision, it's worth $10 more. Okay?
Oh, good
Yeah.
point.
And at the end of the day, if you're buying something for cheap, it's cheap, guys. Like the labor was cheap, the dirt was cheap, the pot was cheap, the trucking company was cheap, the grower was cheap. Like the cheaper that you're paying for some of this stuff, it seems like a good deal, but is the plant going to live?
Yeah.
Right. And until you get to the level that you can diagnose that stuff, I mean, with outdoor plants, the amount of people that look at me crazy when I pull them out and sniff roots and things, they're just like, what is that weirdo doing? I was like, well, I'm making sure that dollar's worth it, you know, because I'm about to buy a flat of these. And
we gotta see.
yeah. And so it takes time to learn that. So you've got to put in the time if you like, and then, yeah, you can probably buy all the cheap plants you want and do
Because
this.
now you have the knowledge to take care of it.
Right.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can do better.
Another thing you see a lot is people want to go 0 to 100. Okay.
That's all
I
of
had
us.
to
Don't
pump
play.
Exactly.
Janae, Steven.
So quick.
I'm about
Yeah.
to go need to pump the brakes, but this.
And so people will come in and be like, well, that's the biggest one you have. I was like, that's the biggest one I have for sale, yeah. And then they'll find one of my personal plants that I just have out here, and they're like, well, I want that one. I was like, well, yeah, I wanted that 5 years ago, and that's why I still have it. Because
Cultivators,
it's mine.
yes.
Yeah.
And so it's about, and that's what's going to happen to most people is they're going to keep growing, and they're going to have a little plant for years, and then they're going to get to the point that they're like, I should probably just spend $100 for a giant one. And you'll get to that point. You will. Every single person does, and people argue with me all the time. I'll never be one of those. Well, you haven't been collecting long enough if you're one of those. So my 150 plant collection, a lot of that stuff came back here and got sold. So now I'm down to, oh god, maybe 50.
Downsizing.
Okay.
Downsizing.
Yeah.
Is this,
Yeah.
you know, the new 2025 range where everybody's downsizing
Yes,
plants?
you need to focus on what makes your collection worth it to you.
Wow.
You don't need every plant.
Yeah.
And then cultivators, and this is coming from somebody who manages a nursery right here. It's not always about the amount of plants that you're putting, because for me, plant burnout is real. We've
Yeah.
talked about this before,
Yep.
where when you have too many plants to maintain, do you fall into that category? And like, Garen, as far as like, we've known you for years, right? So what are some of the challenges about just having something massive like this?
Well, I mean, if you think I don't get tired of this crap, you're stupid. I mean,
I don't
there
know.
are
You
days-
seem gung ho where you just love plants.
Listen, we pull yellow leaves 20 times a day.
Okay. Wow.
And people think they're like, oh, it must be great to work in a greenhouse. I go, in a retail space? Is that what you meant? I go, because there are days that every customer is awesome, and there are days that first customer I know right out of the gate. And I'm like, here we go, one of them days where I'm going to get a bunch of dumb questions. And what ends up happening is the trends. So something will
Yes.
go on TikTok,
Yep.
and by that second
Yes.
customer, I know, like Brazil wood. One day, somebody asked about a Brazil wood plant.
What
And
is a Brazil wood plant?
What I'm aware of is Brazil wood is a tree in Brazil. But what they were talking about,
Y'all.
this is a Massingiana cane or a mass cane, commonly called
it's a
corn
Dracaena.
plant.
Yeah.
So they chop off the top, and it's a little like lucky bamboo type of setup. So,
But it's
and
a
then they put
Dracaena.
fake flowers on them that
Oh,
aren't
wow.
Dracaena flowers.
And that's a trend?
It was. I thank God it passed over.
That
But
was
I
a good
had
trend.
no
I didn't
less
see
than
it.
15 people
Ask you
like
about
come in.
15?
And so by the second one, I was like, oh, here we go, TikTok. And they're like, how did you know? Well, they're asking about the same thing
Wow.
over and
I got
over and over. And
What are
over.
more of the recent trends you've seen within the last?
Oh,
I guess, like, the beginning
How
of
does
this
it
year?
anthuriums.
Yeah, and how does that influence your business model?
It depends. Okay, so we're always striving to get larger. Okay, so when you go to a plant shop and they've got 4-inch plants, I'm looking for 6s. I'm looking for 8s.
I got 14s.
And exactly. We're always going to be looking for a larger scale. That being said, we have to cater to our customers, because this goes back again. Everyone that comes here owns one of those. Why? Because it's a good plant. And if you just
I
want
wish
a
I
plant,
must-
they're not going to be expensive. They're really easy to take care
Yeah.
of. But at some point, you're going to make the jump to, and then I'll know a better idea of like what you're after. So like when pink princesses were new, I didn't play that game. Escalitos, I didn't play that game. There are certain plants that I don't want to try to compete with big box stores or just anybody selling them for under what they're worth and driving the prices down.
Pause on that too. And I think because, Janae, myself, Steven, we do consume some big box store plants just because
I
they're a little
don't.
bit. Oh, you
don't.
don't? Oh,
So,
okay.
no,
let me
no
not
shade.
speak for you.
He said, "I don't."
I don't
I
consume
do
big box.
to a certain extent. I do to a certain extent, but I would just say, what are your thoughts about big box store plants and what kind of differentiates it from, say, an actual grower or somebody that sources out?
Sure.
Because there's always different consumption for different
Right.
people, but like for your thoughts.
So, point in case Costa Farms, okay? If you
Hold on one second. He said the big word. Our views and opinions are solely for the guest.
Yes.
It does not reflect Cultivation Corner. but I'm gonna let you speak.
Well, but if you think I don't buy from Costa Farms,
Yeah.
once again, you're a silly person.
Exactly.
You're not getting away from Costa Farms.
Right.
Costa Farms specifically
Yes.
went out and bought up growers that were getting out of the business.
Okay.
And now the thing is, they're so prevalent, I have to carry Costa Farms products. The difference is I am buying my Costa Farms products through a growership that's potting them for our use.
Got it.
So no death plugs, no wicking systems. You're not going to find stuff like that, even though I got them from Costa Farms.
Got it.
So
Okay.
that's just one little aspect. The other thing, and that we really need to talk about with the big box store tissue culture,
Yeah.
is one, if someone is saying that these are all seedlings and they're at every Home Depot within a 50-mile radius, that's sus to everyone.
Yeah.
They're definitely tissue cultured.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that tissue culturing is kind of still a new process for most of these plants,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, you can go to Disney World and they've been doing it for forever, growing 9-pound lemons.
Epcot
and-
Center.
Oh yeah. Behind the seeds tour.
Yeah.
Spend
Is it
$100.
really?
Wow.
Yes.
Dude, they got a tomato tree that's 12 feet. It's
Don't
mind-blowing stuff. Nasturtium that was 16 feet.
Nasturtium?
Dude, I'm gonna get chills. Insane stuff. But
Wow.
Crazy.
as you're cloning and cloning and cloning, and it's new, the genetics are not stable yet.
Yes.
So that's why snowdrift philodendron. If anybody's got an amazing looking snowdrift philodendron,
Mine's looking okay.
we'd love to see it. Ain't nobody got a good looking snowdrift.
Do you, Richie?
Wait for the houseplant tour. You will
Okay,
see.
right?
I had to pause a
I
minute.
have yet to have someone come in and
Snowdrift, yeah.
oh, look at this. This looks amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, and to go back to like tissue culture or whatever, I mean, I feel like there's positives to it in the fact that
Oh,
some
sure.
people can get access to a really expensive plant that's been doing it. But like you said, to go with the whole plant keeper.
Buyer
motto-
beware.
Well, when in buyer beware, but I think even for a plant keeper, right? You want to have a plant in your plant collection because you want to see it grow.
Right.
Not just acquire it and just put it down and think it's gonna
Sure.
grow. My experience my experience with tissue culture plants is the longevity of it. Either like I had a philodendron pink princess and it started growing all sorts of new growth points, and I'm like, you look really like spinachy, like you're not even growing
Yeah.
because it's got some type of mutation.
Yep.
And so that goes alongside with the whole like genetics part. Like some
Do you
of
think
it is
that's
great.
ethical?
That's another thing. Is it ethical to sell? And that's
No.
your opinion.
No.
Clones.
I don't think it's ethical to sell unrooted plants, anything that you don't know the stability of. And this happens all the time. People bring in, we'll just use a generic, golden pothos. So someone will bring me in a pothos or like Adansonii or something like that. Super
Okay.
common, and I can see it from the door. I can tell it's not receiving water. And so they'll be like, yeah, I've been watering it. And I can look at that and I can see that.
And just pull it.
I know it's not rooted. And I'm talking no effort. It just pops out.
Wow.
And the look on their face is like almost heartbreaking to you.
Yeah.
Where, because you're the one that gets to be the bad guy today.
Yeah.
And you go, you got burned.
Well,
Someone sold you an unrooted plant and you almost never had a chance in the size of pot that it was in or whatever. It could be any number of things.
So, you talk about like unethical things that happen in the plant community. And, Garen, guys, cultivators, he will tell you the honest truth, right? So I will ask you this question. Having something massive like this, I've heard like shops specifically that have been victims of prop lifting.
Oh,
How do you manage that? What does that look like? And what is your message for the prop lifters?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I follow you around. That's another reason. So
Everybody.
And no, he's not, profiling you. I'm
profiling.
telling you, because
yeah.
this
It's super
actually is
rare.
very, so that's good. That's
it's super rare here because of the way that we have our business set up.
Yeah,
Small,
I see lock and
the
key,
family,
they're lock and key in certain nurseries.
Stores.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have your plants just laid out
Yeah,
here.
if I catch you
Legit.
stealing, I'll lock you in here.
And call the cops.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean,
Beware,
it's
y'all
so
prop
rare.
lifters.
It's so rare.
Yeah.
Listen, don't get me wrong. If I go through the self-checkout, I got to pay myself, so we're all guilty of it. The big box store, totally different idea than if you go to a mom and pop shop and you are destroying their plants, there's something wrong with you, man.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
something wrong with you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, how could you?
You need to look inside yourself. And I'll tell you what, if that's what you're doing, you don't need plants, okay? You need something else.
You need Jesus.
Yeah, there you go. A Furby or something.
Furby.
Yeah. At least it talks back. So it's this idea of like, it's mind blowing to me and it drives me bonkers. And the fact that people have to put up signs
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
tell people,
I'm
the
starting
fact
to
that you
see
think
a
it's a
lot of
common
that.
practice
Right.
is mind blowing to me. And especially like, perfect example is everybody here knows about my Hoya compacta variegata, my variegated
Is
Indian rose.
blooming or was blooming?
Oh yeah, it blooms all the time.
Oh my
Well,
God.
this thing is hidden behind the desk,
Yeah.
and people are like, "Why?" I go, "Because it's
Somebody's-
taken so long." And those people that are stealing probably aren't very good at it, so they're going to take a strand off my plant like that, which they're not going to be able to root because they don't know what they're doing. But I'm never getting that back. That's 3 to 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's very much like, will we sell cuttings? Maybe, as long as you're cool. Will we do some trades? Maybe, as long as you're
I don't know. I saw
cool.
Nagling him in the corner. I was like, ooh.
I think other plant shops should be, just kind of the way we are, where if those people don't want to learn and those people don't want to take care of plants, then you should not be selling plants to these people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same as somebody selling puppies in a Walmart parking lot,
Good.
right?
Or
You
babies.
gotta question it. And I mean, this happens every year around the time that somebody's selling palm trees in a gas station, and people are like, "Why did it die?" Bonsais out of a gas station
Right off of
parking
Preston
lot.
Road, y'all. I've
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah. If you're buying a bonsai from someone in a silver minivan, you need to rethink it. Okay.
Wow.
Why? Because I've seen, I don't know, we're probably going on at least 10 that have died.
The Canal Street of plant.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
quick note.
but once again, he's not having to do the hard conversation there.
You are.
I am. And you bring in a juniper, which you had no business buying in the first place.
And you can't grow that juniper indoors as a bonsai.
Good luck.
Bonsai are actually known to, you need to be growing them outdoors.
Right. They're difficult. People always want to do bonsais, and I'm just like,
Like it's a whole
let's
world of art.
rein it back in. It's not easy. I won't even sell you a bonsai unless it's like a Fukian tea, maybe, or like a ficus ginseng. Something
those are
real,
common.
yeah,
Easy.
something real easy.
Easy ones.
$20, like cheap. If you screw it up, what are you gonna do? But like, I've killed a giant sequoia that I had for 3 years, and people are like, "How did that happen?" I don't know. I woke up on a beautiful spring day,
And it was dead.
and it was just dead.
We just
Jeez.
need
And I'll-
dramatic music playing right now.
I'll never know. I'll never know. And I went to my buddy who got it for me, and I told him, I said, man, I can't believe I killed this. And he said, oh, thank God, I killed mine 3 years ago. And it was just, okay, so he had the same experience, but he was worried to tell me because he wanted to do good. Those are the type of people you're looking at that are afraid to say, yeah, I killed it. It's okay.
It's okay. And it's okay.
I've killed more stuff than every single person watching this will probably kill in 3 lifetimes.
Let me tell you something. This is my guru when it comes to plants. And if he's done it, you're all right. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
And I'd like to also point out, yes, I'm firebrand, and I have, these strong opinions about this stuff because of the way and the successes that I've had. But another thing that I tell people all the time is if it is working, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. So if it's
I am
not something,
full of crap
Yeah.
then, okay? I don't know everything. No one's going to come around and give me a gold medal for plants. It's never going to happen.
Wow.
I tell people all the time, I worked out the numbers. I've got somewhere around like 18,000 hours of experience or something ridiculous.
Wow.
But that's not okay, is that master level? I don't know. No one knows.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I tell the oldest person and the youngest person, everyone has got something to teach everybody else. How many times have you heard me say that?
Sure.
And I preach all the time about, yeah, this is all great and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if the word of mouth is gone, if we can't share experiences by mouth, we're going to lose stories and information that we will never, ever get back. There is someone out there that knows far more about, we'll use sidecats. Like, I love sidecats. There's someone out there that knows 10 times as much as I could ever know.
Yeah.
And I've just never met them yet. And this, honestly, first-time plant people will teach you something by their questions that you have to stop and think and go, what does that even mean? Oh. And that's what we're really good at here is I can find what's blocking you and then diagnose your personality archetype and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to stress out over nothing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You're going to just, it's just who you are. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody's going to be different. So being able to diagnose that very quickly is another part that makes us super successful.
Yeah.
Is that I can say, oh, I know what your problem's going to
Yep.
be. Like
For
if
that
you
plant, yep.
if you come in and I can tell, like you say, let's say you have 10 plants. You go, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I can see that you're overwatering and underwatering because you bought plants that were so far away from each other, fiddle leaf, snake plant.
Yeah.
And what's that middle ground? Well, I'll know if you're using an app and you're watering on a schedule.
You can't do that on a schedule.
Exactly. And people all the time are like, well, it should be on a schedule. I was like, yeah, but they're way different schedules.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
if you're going to do a schedule, then make sure that the schedule is conducive to that plant.
Or
Yeah.
if you're going to have a
Particular plant.
schedule, you need to make sure that your plants have similar plant care tips. And that's
correct.
That's the
and that's
problem.
what we do with first timers a lot is we try to keep you in the same vein
Realm. Yeah.
until you've started to learn and you can identify with your eyes. And then, well, I've got a blind customer.
Oh.
Like people all the time are like, excuse me. I'm like, yes, there's a blind man that buys plants from me.
I love that.
That sounds crazy, but not to someone that has a whole stack of Neo Regelia bromeliads that feel different, which is another one of my favorites.
I love them.
And so he comes in, we walk around with him, we touch stuff, and he'll choose stuff
that.
I love
based
that.
off a touch. Yeah, Brian Wilson's going to give me chills again. Yeah, not the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson. And so there's all those different things that go into like how do you help a customer choose a plant. If you want to get crazy, I'm going to tell you the problems. And so like pond is a super popular thing right now.
We're all on it.
Right. And of course, LaChusa came up with a product that they could take a bunch of money from people. Who knew? Who knew?
That
yeah,
rocks.
well, they stopped giving out wholesale discounts. I was done with them. So them and Fox Farms, not that I don't like y'all's products. I'm just telling you, we need wholesale discounts and pallet discounts again, if you're listening.
Help these nurseries,
So
y'all.
Okay.
pond is super useful. Leica is super useful for propagation. Is it a long-term idea? No. And pond is going to work for certain plants, but I bet over time something's going to end up happening, right? Not every plant is going to be able to mix into that. And there's a million different things you could use. One of my customers who's given me most of my anthuriums is tree fern fiber. And I will tell you,
Interesting.
I'll tell you what right now, that works. I have grown stuff just in that tree fern fiber, and I'm talking like a black oil slick fern just a piece that he gave me
Wow.
that I was able to grow. Almost killed, by the way, and came back.
Wow.
So there are tons of products out there. So, don't just say, this is the way I do it. This is the right way to do this. You still need to learn and play, experiment. And that's like for us, like we sell our own pest control / shine, but it took me a week of burning plants to figure out that dilution level, right? To where, because we were tired of buying a product from a middleman
Yeah.
that then
So
gets
y'all have your own
upcharged.
product for that?
Yeah,
I'd
so
love to see that
we're still
later.
working on it, but we make small batches now.
Yeah.
So we can fill your bottle up, or I can sell you a bottle.
Okay.
But we're wanting to move into these products that are going. We've tested it out. We can show you in store.
Diversification.
Well, these places are going out of business, okay?
Yeah.
The plant industry is still full of people that are retirement age and above,
Okay.
and they are getting out of the business. So for a professional perspective, like we'll use a company y'all are not going to be familiar with called Primescape. Primescape, I am assuming, limped along for as long as they did because of a specific watering can. A specific ugly brown watering can that professionals love, okay? So once I found out that Primescape went out of business, I called them and I wanted to buy every single watering can that they had. So I can then have
A Primescape watering.
that watering can.
Yeah.
And so there's products out there all over the place. And when we go to the plant conference next week in Fort Lauderdale, we're going to see these, okay? Mossify, Tree Leaf,
Yeah.
Leaf 'em. That's an app where you can get people to water your plants. Guys, there's 300,
Janae, you were about to
400.
start doing some stuff like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, and that's, when I read that, I signed up immediately. I was
That's a
like,
great
oh, I know what my
service.
next job is. Well, that was easy.
Right.
I'm done. Like, there we go. We got it. Hell, I might be able to find more clients this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
true.
there are going to be certain things that are useful, but overall, using a computer to tell you, like, moisture meters. I hate moisture meters, and people swear by them, but I ask all the time. I go, "What's a number 5?" Yeah,
that mean?
nobody
What
knows
is it?
what a number 5
What
is.
does that mean?
You know what a chopstick will tell you if that plant's wet.
Yeah.
Or your finger.
Or
Yeah,
put your
Yeah.
finger.
handy moisture indicator right here. And if you keep your stuff in grow pots or like pots with a lot of drainage, you can just push your finger down on the bottom. Yeah. And that's another reason that, it's easier if you learn that way and that's why we recommend bottom watering. It teaches you the
Yep.
amount of water. During the summer, if I show someone a demo of bottom watering a ficus tree, it looks like a magic trick. I'll sit here and keep pouring water, and there will be no water in that saucer.
Yeah, because that thing is just
That plant
literally
is
sucking it up.
drinking as fast as a person. And I've had it happen on ags. I've had it happen on all these plants.
Oh, my Maria
So-
does that. Oh,
Maria does it too.
Yeah.
so thirsty, girl.
Did you get
Yeah.
Did you get it from? Did you get a Maria here?
From here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
So
My cutlasses, my big cutlasses, or Juliets, sorry, that I just brought
I
in.
was looking for Romeo.
we
He's
got
not here.
No, we don't have They didn't have big Romeos. They just had big Juliets.
Mm.
And so it's a plant that, like, I thought maybe I wouldn't have to water too much because it's a 14. No. They laid down on me.
Yeah.
And I watered them, they came right back up. But that's an ag, so I immediately, because I've killed scores of ags like when I first got here.
Is
you
it
know.
overwatering? You think for ag?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
you sold me one plant and you're like, this has a lot of, and I touched the soil and I was like, ooh, it is really wet. And you said that they had a whole situation with the grower just overwatering it.
Yeah. They'll come in to me overwatered to death. I don't know why they water them before they throw some of these plants on the trucks. And that
The journey is far.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they think that. The other thing is, you got to remember, a lot of these plants are being grown outside in California, Florida, Arizona. So the grow that they're doing there is going to be different than you would have inside a controlled environment.
Sure.
So there's a lot of different little things that go into that. Now, the thing that's happening here goes back to what we were talking about, the difference between a plant shop like us and a smaller plant shop. Okay, if a grower treats me unfairly, wrongs me,
Okay.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'll call them up, I'll tell them,
Cut it off.
and we're done with you.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust you now, and this is a living thing.
Yeah.
And now I can't say with that certainty and confidence to my customers,
That you would sell it to them.
right. So you got to just remember there's a lot of things going on. when people ask me, I get this question a lot of like, why can't you put it outside? Well, and it grows outside in Florida. I go, well, the ones that grow outside in Florida. I go, but most of these plants are being grown in shade-grown conditions.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the thing that goes on with like the Costa Farms. Back to that, is we're getting that from growers that are growing Costa Farms products for Costa Farms. So I'm not paying royalty fees. I'm not paying anything like that. But they're training them already before they get here for the application of interior plantscaping. Okay?
Okay.
Then once they get in here, they're being trained even further. And so I use me as an example all the time, where if I go outside for 30 or 45 minutes, that sun up there will try to kill me if I do not have sunscreen on.
Yeah.
These are the
Same thing with
same
plants.
exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the cold. There are days I won't sell plants.
Because
Not
even
be-
just taking them out from there
30
to
seconds to a minute. And it's just like that. The amount of people that come in every year, that it's typically mom or grandma comes to stay, and she thinks the plant Monstera, for some odd reason, it's always a Monstera.
Love it.
They need to go outside and get sun.
No.
Well, they come in here, and the person that bought that plant is angry at them, and will come in and immediately go, yeah, she put it outside because she thought it needed to go for a walk or something. Because they know when they come in here that I'm going to be like, no, that's wrong. Why would you do that? So someone's got their back already, where mom might not believe that. I go, but then they walk in and they're like, no, there's a crazy person here that's explaining
knows.
why did it happen. Okay, not just that it happened. And this happens with snake plants all the time. If you walk in and you go, I killed a snake plant, I will go, you overwatered it. If you open your mouth up, I will say, you can argue with your mama, you ain't arguing with me, you overwatered it.
Wow.
Now, did you overwater it because you overwatered it, or did you overwater it because there's no drainage? Right? So, yeah, you
So then you
overwatered
can
it.
still triage it a little bit.
Exactly. It's never just this. It's never
There's
just
multiple-
this
Yeah,
happens.
multiple ways.
There's a reason it happened. I've had this happen with Southside on Lamar here in Dallas. It's a very old building.
Yeah.
The mortar in the windows degraded, and there was wind blowing
To
through.
dry
that.
Yeah, and drying out my friend's philodendron Brazil.
Yeah.
And she was awesome at plants. So when you come in, and if you're great at plants, and I trust you, and you come in and you go, my Brazil is not doing good,
Then there was a situation
there's something wrong
with the environment.
Right. Either that or that Brazil,
Had
because that's one of
something.
the easiest plants to grow ever, right? Like everybody owns one.
Well, I was gonna say too, like as far as like because as we wrap up the podcast, what are your 3 plants? And I know that might be very tough for you. 3 plants that if you could only live with, what 3 plants would it be?
Schefflera arboricola,
Oh, umbrella
for
plants.
sure. You got to remember,
Green or variegated?
okay, so I can't believe you even asked me that, because you know what I'm going to say.
I want the cultivators
So,
to know. I
okay.
want the
If
cultivators.
you
to
know me or anything like this, I love green plants.
Yes.
Variegation's okay. Yes, I have variegated plants. But at the end of the day, I just like green
Green.
plants. The other thing that we have here is I've got a 50-year-old tree specimen and 2 50-year-old bonsais behind me. So I know that's an easy plant to take care of. I've grown a bunch of them. I've grown one through the winter. It came back.
Wow.
Now, it didn't come back this year, but I had it come back for about 3 years in a row.
Wow.
Does it get very big? No. But the thing lived, right? So that's a lot of stuff going on there that makes it super cool to me. And then I can see what I'll have as I continue to hold on to that plant. So that's number 1 for sure. When I looked at that question, I was like, that's a hard one. Because we get attached to individual plants,
Yes.
not necessarily plant styles. That being said, man, that green Congo right there.
I mean, that's
saw
a-
that.
Like, once
Look at
again,
Please,
So
we gotta do some
beautiful.
B-rolls.
it's
Yeah.
This
a
one needs to be-
boring green plant.
No,
but
it's not boring, and it's
oh man, it's huge.
Those leaves.
I've grown the living hell out of it. So
It's been there for years.
I'm not
every time-
even sure I've had it for 2.
It feels like it's been there for a while.
It is never. I've rented it out once,
Statement.
Statement
Yeah.
piece.
but I love it too much now to where I might not even give you a price on it.
Yeah.
Unless the price is right, there's always a price tag for something. I feel like
I'd take 500. Yeah,
500 only for that.
yeah. I'd be willing to if I trusted
That is
you
a steal.
enough.
Thought you
That
said
is a steal.
If I trusted you
Well, I'm
enough,
telling
you
you,
know.
Garen, I mean, to be honest, like, you're going to make me have to buy a 6,000 square foot house.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mess around with this
Yeah.
place. You know?
No, I mean
Seriously.
any house that I'd be looking for after I live here in Oak Cliff. I'm covered by pecan trees. I get no light in my house. I've got 8 cats. That doesn't help. So, like, my next house will have a Four Seasons room
Yeah.
or a garden
No,
room,
that's right.
or like a Wendy's atrium style.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going to have that happen. I don't know. Third plant. You know, probably a Reflexa. Dracinia reflexes.
Wow. So Song of India.
We've got a Jamaica behind us that you can see, and Anita over there. I've got some.
I actually learned a lot about just your three.
Well, you forced me to choose
Okay,
3
forced us
plants. Yeah. And once again, these are pretty much all. Song of India is not my favorite because of the variegation. I like Jamaica. I like Anita. What else have I had? There's another one out there too that I've had in here before that they're just fun, easy. It's a Dracinia, so it's a low light, low water plant. But when you walk around the greenhouse, there's a favorite plant in every section.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yes.
So there's going to be a giant aloe vera that I've been growing for 3 years, or any number of Madagascars. I like anything from Africa, Arabian Peninsula. That stuff really jives with me. Any Aponeaceae, that's desert roses, plumerias, Madagascars. Love stuff like that. Not a big cactus person though. Not a big.
Be considered wish list plants for you.
Oh, I mean, I've got a lot of them.
But what's a wish list plant for you?
Top
if you
one.
top one,
Top
just one. If money wasn't a factor.
Definitely.
Giant strap leaf anthurium.
The
5, 6.
Okay, so you are trying.
Only okay. But not
We're
like
talking about green
Listen,
plants, but we
listen.
have an imperial.
well, like the one I have over there. I can never remember if it's a vitifolia or whatever the other one is. But I grew that like it had no leaves when someone gave it to me, and it took years. And then all of a sudden,
It's got beautiful.
this giant leaf comes out. And I've only got 2 leaves on the thing. I've had this thing for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
But one's all green, and then 2, there ain't nothing that looks like that.
Yeah.
And so it's very rare that like you would see that. Now that specimen is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
I am definitely at the level of I want the biggest one or a
Sweet.
bigger one. And so if I
So not always
had
about that quantity, it's the quality.
yes, yeah. I mean honestly, I love jade pothos. Like
Yeah.
See, I
You know,
see,
like-
this is why we have to have individuals like you, Garen. Like even just the fact that you spent this much time talking to us about a nursery getting this.
Come back.
You have
Oh,
to
yeah,
come
yeah,
back.
yeah.
You have to come
Yeah.
back. You can give us some more educational things, but just I think what's refreshing is the fact that you are really bluntly honest, and in a world where we're trying to provide content, we want the most raw, most authentic content out there. Some people may not agree with certain things, but you have to see both sides and just even listen.
even
to
if you don't agree with me, you can come to the greenhouse.
That's what I was gonna say. So
It's not a problem.
no,
For
just to kind of sum it up and finish this awesome episode. What
This
do you
was
want to
great.
tell the Cultivation Corner people or just people watching about this place? If you want to invite them to shop here,
Yeah.
what can they expect?
So-
where are we at?
We're right here, Beckley and 30, right down from Methodist Hospital, across from Oak Cliff Mirror and Glass, Plant Keeper Inc. We have 3 businesses under this umbrella. So you might know it as Hawaiian Tropical Plant Sales. You might know it as Escape Supply. I wear a Escape Supply shirt with no sleeves on a regular basis.
I love skates.
I was like,
365
this is
days.
rare.
I was
This is very rare.
I was part of the Escape Supply era.
Your tan line is
Yeah,
right here.
yeah. Oh, very much, very much. So 2211 North Beckley, Dallas, Texas, 75208. We cater to every single level,
Yeah.
from know nothings to know everythings.
Yeah.
And as long as you're cool, we're cool. And honestly, you don't even have to be that cool.
Just show up.
If spite is going to keep the plant alive, if that's what drives our relationship, that's okay. That's
okay.
all right. Like we're not going to agree on everything, okay? Like it's not a possibility, and that's fine because plants, Mother Nature does not give 2 flying flamingos about what you think, okay? So it's more important to start that conversation and keep stuff like this going. So that way you do have differing opinions, because when you get stuck in a vacuum and you start, everyone you talk to does the same exact thing as you and you stagnate your learning right out of the gate.
100%.
And it becomes, is that a great little group of people that do, we'll make fun of you guys with the semi-hydro, mixes like that. But at the end of the day, if you're not talking to other people that are doing full hydroponic,
Right.
if you're not talking to somebody that's got a garden tower,
That opinion.
you know, Lone Star Plants over at Fair Park is a great place for like full hydroponic, super nice people.
Yeah.
They bought stuff from here before, and we had that talk about that. So we've got to make sure that we're continuously learning from each other.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to what I said. Listen, I'm wrong all the time.
I just think, you know, on that note,
Yeah. Garrett, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much.
No,
And
thank
this
you.
has been such a wealth of information, you
Yes,
guys.
very
Again,
insightful.
you got to come to Plant Keeper. I'm telling you, you will be blown away by just the jungle vibe that you get up in
Yes.
here. Listen, Steve with I Live Plants,
Richie at Grow Folds,
Janae from Janae Simone.
and we are
Cultivation Corner.
Thank you so
so
much,
much,
you guys.
y'all.
Peace.
Bye.
On the next episode on Cultivation Corner,
Populate very easily.
She has bundles coming down now.
She got the good hair.
Bundles.
Did y'all see Janae's hair too?
Fire!
Thank you,
She's
guys.
giving bangs. She look good. She look good.